Hello everyone, I'm Minus, and today I wanted to record a little tutorial for some folk for getting through the Dark Cave blind. There are a couple of resources already out there that I've seen, some maps that you can use to look at to see it lit up, and then of course you could also come here with the candle and see everything as it's lit. But once you turn the lights off, things get tough to remember where everything is and what to see. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the process I follow and slow things down a little bit and show you maybe some things that I feel for or see so that you can play this back, watch it, and get your own feeling for Dark Cave. Uh, and then even a few ways to speed it up after you get a little more comfortable with it. So let's jump into it. Um, So when you first start in Dark Cave, you come right into here, and when you come into Dark Cave, the first room is basically a it's a bottomless pit down there at the bottom. If you fall from either side and hit the bottom, you die. In the bottom left-hand corner, there is a hook that you're trying to rope dart in order to get to the next screen, and it's really hard to gauge where it is. In most times I come in here, that's the point I die. So you just need to get some practice on it. So just practice on trying to rope dart the hook that's down there. So I'll show you from coming down here. That's where it is. So if you can see, it's about at the height where the exit is. So this is kind of the height you're shooting for. Or else, you'll die like that. But let me just reset this to get recordable. But that's the height you're going for, because it's right there. So you shoot for that height. Well, you die again. And then we'll go into the next room. So the next room, this is the longest and hardest one, I think, for a lot of people, because there's a lot going on. So we'll take it in small doses. So the first run right here, you're basically running towards the center of the screen, and once you do, then the camera starts moving, so you kind of don't have a guide for where you are anymore. Once you hit the center of the screen, you've pretty much hit the location you want to be at. It could be a little sooner too, because what you're aiming for is basically a spot. Anytime before that, there's mostly like ceiling you hit, and then at some point you'll actually be able to jump up. What you need to be careful on, because you can't just go running, is that there are spikes here. You'll run straight into them, and at this point you'll probably have a little less health than that, and while there are no damage boosts in this section, there's enough spikes to make you worried. And no checkpoints. You'll go all the way back to the beginning and get to try it again if you die. So what you're aiming for is sorry. What you're aiming for is, you drop down here, you come over, you get about that spot. Oh, see. You can kind of get a feeling for it when you're coming in. You get near the center and you start jumping up, and you go for this wall here. I climb up pretty high, and then there is a ground about right here. So the wall was here. Ground's here, not too far. Might need, yeah, you'll probably want to do a glide when going over to it just to make it. So I'll typically come from the wall, glide over to the ground, and here you are. The careful thing is that something you can't see but you probably heard was that there's some platforms kind of going up there, the weak platforms that fall. So you might touch on them or hit them when you're coming through your first time, but just keep moving, because some of them will fall and you'll fall into the spikes. So from this point, the next thing that happens is that right in front of me is a drop with two series of spikes and then an endless pit in the middle. And in between, like above that, is some time shards and another hook, and that's what you're aiming for. So this one you kind of get a guide and a little bit of practice on. So you're looking for that hook after you fall. So it looks like this, but you hold the button after you fly. But basically, when you drop down, there's a hook right there you're going for, so that you get across all of those hazards no problem. So that's the next thing you're looking for. So you drop down, hit that, and don't be too afraid to throw the rope dart when you start falling. It hangs there for a second. It might be safety. You throw it too soon, you're gonna fall. But let yourself drop for a beat and then throw your rope dart. You take too long, you're gonna hit those spikes. If you hit those spikes, it's best just to, if you start going for it, you could accidentally fall into a pit. So just be mindful of that. Yeah, that's the pit I'm falling into right there. So, but you can aim for it, throw your rope dart, and there you are. So the next part, when you come up here, there's going to be two sections kind of like this, where you'll run and then you'll start to hear a dropping platform. And at that point, you will start falling down. There will be another one, and I think if that one falls, you go into an endless pit. So you go into a little death pit there. So what I typically do is I hit it and then I drop myself down. You can just down and jump to fall through it yourself and continue on, or you can just sit on it, wait. So when you come here, sit on and wait, and then keep moving. Otherwise, you'll fall into the pit and die because that platform continues to drop. So let me get back over there. Whoop, and that's what happens when you are too slow. Alright, so I'll come here, I'll drop down, and I'll just keep running. So here's where things get interesting. Because you can actually see something here. There's now a visual cue, and these are great. This is what makes doing some of this stuff a little more doable and viable. So what these are upward vents. Look like that. So you're aiming for these to come over so that you can fly up. Something to note, this first one has two spikes on either side of it. So if you're too far to the side, you either won't go up, or better, you will. So if you come up like here, you'll hit spikes. Or here, you'll hit spikes. So spikes on either side. But so your first aim for this little visual cue, I go right in the middle of it and fly up. You can be safe every time. Once you do that, just hold left and continue on. You're going to hit another dropping platform here. Just keep going left to get off of it so that they don't drop you into another pit. So here's the next one. And this one is where, if you have your map, what this part looks like is there's a giant like piece of land here, and then two paths, one underneath and one above. So this little piece of land here kind of ends, and then from there it kind of goes on to a large bottomless pit. So what I remember when coming up to this is my next goal is I need to go up, because that's how I'm going to continue on. And then I go from there. Something I'll just note for backups, if you miss things or if you go for stuff, if you overshoot and you end up falling, you can come back and try again. So if you freak out too much and you make a mistake or you go too far, just pull it back to the right and there's a path to come back down. So now, what intended, there are a couple of falling platforms and stuff. The route I'm going to show you relies solely on the lanterns. Because they're not moving and they're always going to be there and you can memorize them, and it's easier for me. So it's all about remembering kind of steps you take and where the lanterns would be. So there's a lantern you're shooting for right here. So I shoot to rope dart this lantern and it starts my series of events that I'm going to be doing next. So if you can, and you can see how close that is. Because if I just drop, the platform, the ground's not below me anymore. So I'm trying to rope dart this. There's another lantern right after it, so the goal is to rope dart it and rope dart the next one. So these are the two lanterns you're going for. The nice thing is once you hit these, you're going to have another visual cue here in a second. So you're basically coming up to hit this lantern, and then I jump and I glide. I'm shooting for this section next. So I'll sometimes go for the wall that's clinged here, but there's a lantern actually right here before you go through the time portal, and another one of the same height on the other side of it. So I will come through this float and actually try to rope dart through it. And that's kind of the next piece of movement I shoot for, and it helps me be pretty consistent. Okay, so just to recap that, from this section here, we got the two lanterns we're going for. It's going to look like this for me, where I'll do this, I'll jump, and then I'll aim for the other lantern and then the second one. So that's what it'll look like for me. Alright. So, the next part can be typed so you kind of get a feel for it. There is another lantern I shoot for way up there and a little bit further to the left that I want to rope dart. And there's also some platforms that you'll land on if you don't make that. And I'll show you what the goal is going to end up being. So when I do this, I jump high, and I'm shooting for another lantern right here. You can kind of see in relation. So if I do that again, it's about like this, where I want to delay a bit just so that I can make it. So there's two lanterns here as well. So that's the kind of pattern you find yourself doing. Each of the lanterns we've done so far is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And so that's the kind of pattern I shoot for. 1, 2, 1, 2. And once you've done that, you're on the main platform. From this point, I feel that a lot of the hard stuff is gone. There's one last obstacle to get through here. And I'm going to show you that it's actually really easy. So there are two bumpers across from each other and then a bottomless pit. And you want to get through them to get to the next room. So the first one is right here. You kind of just run off the platform and it's right there. And the second one, if you're holding left, is right here. And then that's the end of the room. So something important to show is that there actually doesn't take a lot of thought to hit them. Once you get on this platform after hitting the last two lanterns, just hold left. 1, 2, and you're done. There's nothing to it. I wasn't sure about the right side. I couldn't remember the distance there, but it looked fine. Something I will do, a small tip if you care to do it, I will make a small delay in the drop because there are time shards that kind of arc through that bounce that are slightly off from your normal movement. And if you want to pick up those time shards and like give up a few frames, when I do the drop, I'll do a small little glide, so it'll look like this. And there will be time shards there for me to pick up. And then I just continue running. So we're done with what I feel is the hardest part of Dark Cave. After that, you've got this room, which is essentially free. But I want to show you one optimization that's in this room. And then I'll walk through it a little bit slower. When you enter this room, there's going to be a couple of drops in platforms that will drop into an endless pit. Just don't stop on them and you'll be fine. But the third one, which you can count with time shards as well, and you'll see them as you pick them up. The third one is a key one because you can save yourself a little time by hitting that one. So I'll wait till the third time shard, and then I need to get to my destination, which is a little bit higher in the top left corner of the screen. There is a little top pathway you're trying to go through. So I'm going to aim for that after getting the third time shard. So it's like this. 1, 2, 3. You jump up here, and that's it. That's what you're doing. Now the platform that was underneath you has now dropped, so don't go back down there right away. But if you don't hit this or you bonk, that's fine. Just keep going left. So I'm in this bottom area down here. What you're trying to do is I'm bonking against something. You just go right there. This wall is what you're going for. So like if you miss that, just rope dart over it. You're trying to get onto this wall, essentially. When you get onto this wall, you can still make it over to that higher part we're shooting for by climbing up a little bit, jumping, and rope darting. I have a tendency sometimes to miss it, especially if I'm too high, where I see I'll miss it kind of like that. Like I think the rope dart clings onto something if you throw it at the wrong time. No biggie. If you catch that happening to you, just come back, hit left, and get back on that wall. But this is the spot you're shooting for. Hanging on a wall, facing the left. That means you know you're on that right wall, and when you're on this right wall, you're just gonna jump high left. And do that, you're on a new floor. So from here, we need to go up once more, and then back down, and then up again. So, and there's typically walls to hit for it. So the first one, the up, there should be a wall there, so you can rope dart to it like that. So you just hold left until you rope dart, hit a wall, you climb up it, then there's some more ground, and then you just run left, and you're gonna drop. So when you drop here, you're basically gonna do that rope dart one more time to find one more wall, and you've hit your destination once you've climbed it. Right here, there's a crystal. Now that crystal is what you need to hit to open the door so that you can leave. That's what you're aiming for. You can imagine coming up here and then just swinging and doing that is totally fine. A little optimization when you're on the wall. When you get to the top, you can jump up and throw a shuriken. A lot of us will do that to get it started sooner. So you'll see a lot of us when we drop down to the spot, we'll come over here and then throw the shuriken, and then we'll start racing it back. You basically, from this point, are retracing your steps. So to remind yourself, going backwards, go right, up, down, and then from this point, there's that down back to the pit area you were before. If you hold right and go for it, you're going to grab onto the original wall you used to get up there. So what I do is when I'm running right, the moment I see Ninja starting to have that fall animation, I'm going to let go of the inputs, and he'll fall straight down. He's going to land on a platform that's going to fall, and immediately start holding left once he lands on that platform. So it'll look like this. And when you do that, you are in the final main part, kind of that underneath that platform you were clinging onto. Keep running. There's some time shards you collect, and then a wall. I'll typically rope dart it to get you a little faster. You climb up it, and you're done. Because once you start running left, there's a few more time shards. You can see how the camera's kind of caught up, so you'll move away from the center a little bit. And then there's going to be a door that's opened from the bottom, and you'll fall into it, just like that. When you hit the bottom of the screen down here, you'll be in Riviere, and you're done. So I want to run through... we're going to do that run through one more time, fully, so you can just see how it flows. Alright, so one more run through from the beginning. Let's see how it looks. And that's it. So I hope that helps folks kind of have more visual aids for getting through Dark Cave. You can, stop it, take a look at some of the things I do, and if you have any other questions or stuff, feel free to check out the Discord and ask some questions in there. Otherwise, good luck on your longer runs here. Dark Cave, probably one of my favorite spots to practice and do. Once you get that going smooth, it's so satisfying. So good luck to y'all.